Hi guys, we are Vitattoo and we prepared a short video to show you what we're about and where we might see our company in the future. So. Here. No. Yeah. Apologies. This was working earlier, I promise.
It's a test of nerve and steel.
It's not just a consumer product. It's more of a cultural institution. We like to think of ourselves less as a company and more as a driving force for good in today's health-conscious society. I'm the creative force behind Vitattoo.
Non, impossible, j'ai un rendez-vous à 4 heures. Et dis à que c'est pas bon. I'm the driving force behind this operation.
Well, I actually have a triple PhD. I suppose getting back to Vitattoo, I'm one of the founding members of Vitattoo. I originally came up with the idea to manipulate touch receptors below the skin underneath the tattoo that could tell you if you're deficient in those minerals. So a lot of people say, you know, I'm the brain behind Vitattoo, I'm the driving force. I am.
I got a Vitattoo when I was diagnosed with cancer, and another Vitattoo when I was pregnant. I even got a Vitattoo for my 1-year-old son. Just gave it to him.
I am the creative genius behind Vitattoo.
So, apologies if there were sound issues at the back there. I hope most people heard that, at least. So, what is Vitattoo? So Vitattoo is an intelligent tattoo that's designed to tell you when you're deficient in an essential vitamin or nutrient. So this could be calcium, it could be glucose, it could be vitamin C, vitamin D. And the essential idea is that when the tattoo senses that you're low in this particular nutrient, it will stimulate the touch receptors underneath your tattoo, which will give you the feeling that someone's pressing on it. We've also looked at incorporating a fluorescent protein into the tattoo such that it will glow as well when you're deficient in it. So, for instance, this is a mock-up of what one of our tattoos might look like. A person could consult a manual which will tell them what happens when you're low on vitamin B, exactly what this tattoo is. So this one is vitamin B. And we're looking at how Vitattoo can cater for all needs. So it can cater to particularly health-conscious people who want to be able to fine-tune their levels of vitamins and nutrients. Or we have a number of sort of particular cases that you might want to use it in. For instance, someone suffering from lactose intolerance might have a deficiency in dietary calcium. Someone suffering from anemia, often anemia people are deficient in iron and sometimes vitamin C. And someone suffering from osteoporosis may be particularly deficient in vitamin D. So this is where we see Vitattoo working. So the process, it occurs at the same time as the inking of the tattoo. We use a second needle, an electroporation needle, which will implant the DNA into the touch receptors under the skin. So we use cytokeratin 20 as a specific marker. So there's not going to be random parts of your arm or leg stimulated. And we try to use human receptors to avoid immune rejection. So I'm going to pass you over to Steve, who's in charge of marketing.
Thanks, Hugo. So first of all, I'd like to stress that Vitattoo is a truly niche product. There's no real precedent because there are other transdermal technologies which exist for implanting tattoos, but Vitattoo is biological, whereas the others are electronic underneath the skin. So in terms of market research, there wasn't a whole lot of precedent that we had to go by. So this is just like our thoughts and the kind of reasoning process that we've gone through. So our initial target market would be the people who like always kind of buy into whatever new technology there is, like the early adopters. And we'd hope that this would kind of give Vitattoo more public exposure. And we'd use this exposure to give Vitattoo more appeal within broader society. At this stage, like in the medium term, we'd be marketing towards our specific kind of demographic, and that would be well-paid professionals who can afford it, because admittedly it will be expensive initially. I'll just run you through the rest of the marketing pretty quickly, because I know I'm running out of time. So long term, we see Vitattoo becoming more of a social norm than a luxury product. It wouldn't be unusual to see someone walking down the street with a Vitattoo, and like we really do think that it could go from being very exclusive to something that is completely normal. And then also Vitattoo's vision is to give people a better insight into their health. We feel that this could benefit NGOs and governments in developing countries, because like obviously we want to give back to society in some way. And then as for our development plan, I'll just run you through some quick points. We look at getting grants following exhibiting. You could, like, most of the information is up here, but we in terms of like funding, we look at crowdsourcing for our funding, and also grants such as Arts Council grants, partnerships with forward-thinking corporations, and also we'd have a strong online presence through social media, and also sponsorship of influential blogs. Such as like tech and art blogs. Then finally, we have a mock-up of what our exhibition would look like. The centerpiece would be a mockumentary, and obviously this will have to be very strong, because like the exhibition is core to generating hype, like for Vitattoo, and then looking for funding in the future. So thank you for listening, and now we'll take questions. Sorry about going over time.
So, given that just about every sensor in the human body responds to abrupt changes as opposed to gradual changes, I'm not sure that what you're proposing is even going to work, because like our skin pressure sensors only can detect relatively rapid changes. They're not very good at picking up on slow, gradual, incremental, and we also habituate to pressure changes very, very readily. Otherwise, we'd be, irritated by all clothes and not just scratchy jumpers.
Yeah, the first one that you mentioned there is definitely an issue, but we're specifically looking at targeting Merkel cells, because there's a number of different cell receptors that you have under the skin. Merkel cells are the slow responding ones, so there could be issues with you becoming desensitized to perhaps being chronically low on calcium or something, but we were expecting that once you're aware of the deficiency, you can go and rectify the issue. And
I'm not sure you become aware, because the change would be so gradual that you'd be desensitized.
Well, the thing is, you're actually informed of the deficiency in two ways. So the idea of the touch receptor being stimulated is just to give you an idea that there's something wrong or there's something right if you're proficient in the vitamin. But basically, you'd look down and you'd see that a certain part of your Vitattoo is glowing. Then you could either use your smartphone to scan that, or else look it up in a reference manual, which would have the different fluorescent inks and what they represent in your custom-made Vitattoo.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this idea of looking up in a manual what your tattoo is doing. I mean, it seems very complicated.
Yeah.
Would it not be possible to consider having, a particular tattoo design for a particular condition or deficiency, which could almost become like a badge for that condition, and rather than have some sort of complicated need to actually look up a manual? I don't think people like looking up manuals.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea would be that, like, we also kind of pitched the idea of a smartphone app, like you just hover your camera over it and tell you instantly. But I mean, obviously, people pick the specific vitamins and minerals that they want to be aware of, and this means that, like, they would get used to the different like which parts of the tattoo represent which vitamins pretty quickly. And but then there's also the flip side of if you had a certain tattoo that was like say was associated with a lack in iron and red blood cell count or something like that, you wouldn't necessarily want everyone to know that because you're kind of publicly displaying the fact that you could be anemic.
But, is there not something interesting about tattoos that they're kind of tribal? So it's like, you know, we're part of the anemic tribe. You know, it's like
we thought it was really interesting to just look at the kind of circles of publicity that you would show. So for instance, maybe someone who's anemic, you know, doesn't mind displaying it, and that's completely fine to be part of that anemic tribe. But then again, you know, you do have people who just may not want to show it, or you know, may just be more sort of introverted in that sense, and it could be just for personal use to be aware that they're low on these nutrients.
To what extent would you be planning to explore the ethical dimensions of having something on the exterior of your body that might give away information that in some contexts could be private, dangerous or detrimental? Emergency services may find someone unconscious with a tattoo that looks like a V-tattoo and inappropriately interpret the results. Insurance companies might refuse you something if they see that you've got osteoporosis. People around you will know a very intimate thing about your internal state. What sort of thing might you do in the exhibition to explore that?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, we were also looking at that, and we just thought it was a really cool idea societally. But you can, yeah, as Paige was pointing out, you can choose where you put your tattoo. So you could put it in a sort of more private place, like your stomach, as opposed to having it on your wrist or your face or your neck or something like that.
But also, you could explore that through the exhibitions. That's a prime time to get feedback from the public. So that'd be a good time to actually see how people react to it. Get it, like maybe have an interactive piece where people could respond to it. That's probably the best place where people are going to react to, because they're in an open mindset and they're not really expecting that either. And they're going to be going in with the idea of going in on exploration, so you probably get the most interesting results from these places as well.
Thank you.